You have been leaking power your entire life, not because you're weak, not because you're foolish, but because nobody ever showed you where the leak was. Every time you reacted to someone who didn't deserve it, you gave them something they hadn't earned. Every time you felt the pull to explain yourself to someone who had already decided, you handed them a piece of your energy that you will never get back. Every time you stepped into a fight that wasn't worth your presence, you came out smaller than you went in. And the cruelest part? It didn't look like losing. It looked like standing up for yourself. It looked like being honest. It looked like what a strong person does. But something was draining underneath all of it. Quietly, invisibly, every single time. Today that stops. Not because you're going to become cold, not because you're going to become cruel, but because you're going to understand, for the first time, exactly what your energy is worth, and exactly who deserves to receive it. These are the 7 laws of the untouchable. Let's begin. The first law: your attention is not free, and you've been giving it away like it costs nothing. Think about the last time someone provoked you. Maybe it was a message. Maybe it was a comment. Maybe it was something said behind your back that found its way to your ears. What happened inside you? Your mind locked onto it. You replayed it. You crafted responses in your head. You thought about it in the shower, in the car, right before you fell asleep. You spent hours, maybe days, giving that person real estate inside your mind that they did nothing to earn. And they weren't even thinking about you. Here's what nobody tells you about attention. It is not infinite. The brain runs on a finite supply of cognitive and emotional fuel. Every decision you make, every emotion you process, every reaction you have burns from that same limited tank. Scientists call this ego depletion. The research is undeniable. When the tank runs low, your judgment deteriorates. Your self-control weakens. You start making choices you wouldn't make if you were at full capacity. The people who drain you, whether they know it or not, are siphoning from that tank. Every time they get your reaction, every time they pull you into their chaos, every time they occupy your thoughts without your permission, they are spending your fuel, not theirs, yours. The most powerful people you will ever encounter in your life share one invisible habit. They are ruthlessly selective about where their attention goes. Not because they're arrogant, not because they don't care, but because they understand at a bone-deep level that attention spent on the unworthy is attention stolen from the worthy. From this moment forward, before you give anyone your reaction, your response, your mental energy, ask yourself one question. Is this person, is this situation, is this moment worth what I'm about to spend on it? Most of the time, the honest answer is no. And no requires nothing else. No explanation, no justification, no performance of indifference. Just no. And then you move on. Your attention is the most valuable thing you own. Start treating it that way. The second law: silence is not the absence of power. It is power in its purest form. Most people believe that silence means surrender. They think if they don't respond, if they don't defend, if they don't have the last word, they've lost something. They haven't lost anything. They've just exposed a misunderstanding about how power actually works. Here's what happens in someone's nervous system when you don't respond to them. They expected a reaction. The human brain is wired for reciprocity, for cause and effect, for action and response. When you engage, the loop closes. The exchange feels resolved. They got what they came for. But when you say nothing, the loop stays open. And an open loop in the human mind is not neutral. It is active. It demands resolution. It pulls attention back to itself again and again. They check to see if you've read it. They wonder what you're thinking. They replay what they said. They create stories. They build entire narratives trying to explain your silence. And every single one of those stories puts you at the center. You did nothing. and you are living rent-free in their mind. That is not passive. That is psychological leverage without a single word. But understand this, because it matters. Silence only works when it comes from a real place. Not from suppressed rage, not from wounded pride performing composure, from genuine indifference, from actually not being moved. That's the deeper work, not learning to stay quiet when you're burning inside. Learning to become the kind of person for whom most things genuinely don't register. Because the moment you get there, the moment almost nothing deserves your reaction, your silence stops being a strategy and starts being a statement, a permanent one. When you do speak, people lean in, because they've learned that you don't waste words. When you stay silent, it lands harder than anything you could have said, because they've learned that your silence is not emptiness, it is a verdict. The third law, make your presence rare and watch what happens. There is a principle so deeply wired into human psychology that you experience it every day without naming it. We do not chase what is always there. Think about someone in your life who is constantly available, always responds immediately, always makes time, always shows up. How do you feel about their presence? If you're honest, you take it for granted. You assume it will be there. You stop thinking about it much at all. Now think about someone whose presence is selective, sometimes warm and fully there, sometimes completely absorbed in their own world. You never quite know when you'll have access. How do you feel about that presence? You think about it. You anticipate it. When it arrives, it feels like something that was earned. That difference isn't accidental. It's ancient. Scarcity signals value. Abundance signals disposability. This is not a game. This is a law of human perception that has been documented, replicated, and confirmed across decades of behavioral research. If you are always available to everyone, if anyone who wants your time can have it, immediately without effort, you have told them, without saying a word, that your time costs nothing. And people treat things they didn't pay for accordingly. Strategic withdrawal is not about playing games. It is about living in a way that accurately reflects what your time is actually worth. If you are protecting your energy, building something, investing yourself into things that matter, then your availability genuinely is limited. The scarcity is real. Let it be real. Stop answering everything immediately. Stop showing up everywhere you're invited. Stop being the person who drops everything every time someone calls. Not as manipulation, as an accurate reflection of your priorities. When you show up completely. Be fully there. Give them everything in that moment, and then return to your work. People will feel the difference between someone who is giving them borrowed time and someone who chose them, and they will chase the latter. Let them. The fourth law. The most devastating thing you can do to someone is nothing. There is a study that changed how neuroscientists think about social pain. Participants were placed inside a brain scanner and told they were playing a simple ball-tossing game with other players online. For a few minutes, the game went normally. They received the ball, they threw it back, they were included. And then, without warning, the other players stopped throwing the ball to them. No conflict, no insult, no reason given, just exclusion. The researchers watched what happened inside the brain. The same regions that activate when you're in physical pain. The same structures that process a burn, a broken bone, a physical wound, lit up in response to being left out of a ballgame. Being ignored neurologically hurts. Now understand what you hold when you choose not to respond to someone who is trying to get a reaction from you. They are betting on your discomfort. They are counting on the fact that staying silent will feel like losing, that the itch to respond will be stronger than your discipline. They have studied you. They know which buttons produce which reactions. They are pressing one right now. And the move they cannot prepare for, the move they have no counter to, is nothing. Not performed coldness, not dramatic silence with visible effort, just genuine disengagement. You saw it. It didn't move you. You returned to your life. And now they are in the position your brain usually occupies. The unresolved loop, the unanswered question, the wound that has no clean edge to heal from. You didn't fight back. You didn't stoop. You didn't give them the dignity of your anger. You just moved on. There is no response more devastating than that. Not because it's cruel, but because it is completely, brutally accurate. It communicates exactly what you actually think of the situation. Not worth it. The fifth law: some people need to be released, not confronted. There are three types of people whose presence in your life is costing you more than you've calculated. The first are the ones actively working against you. Not competitors, competition is healthy, but the ones whose internal narrative requires your failure. The ones who speak about you in rooms you're not in. The ones who smile at your face and move quietly against you behind it. The instinct is to expose them, to make sure everyone knows, to win the public argument. Resist it. Exposing them gives them a stage. Confronting them validates their relevance. Fighting them proves that they mattered enough to fight. The most powerful thing you can do is remove your attention completely and keep building. Let your trajectory be the response. Let your continued rise be the thing they have to explain to themselves every morning. They will do more damage to themselves through their own bitterness than you could ever do in a confrontation. The second are the critics. Understand something about people who only criticize and never create. They need you. Their entire function depends on having someone to tear down. Without you, they have no purpose, no platform, no reason to exist in the conversation. When you react to them, when you defend yourself, when you try to correct the record, you are feeding the organism that feeds on you. You are giving it oxygen. Stop. Keep building. Build so far past where they thought you would stop that their words become a joke they can no longer tell. The third are the ones who drain you quietly, the ones disguised as friends. No obvious malice, just constant need, permanent crisis, always one emergency away from requiring everything you have. And somehow, no matter how much you give, the emergencies never end. This is not friendship. This is a pattern. And the pattern continues because you have been consistently rewarding it with your presence, your energy, your time. Releasing these people is not abandonment, it is honesty. An honest reflection of what you actually have to give, and what you are and aren't willing to sustain. You don't announce it, you don't explain it, you simply become gradually, quietly, permanently less available. And eventually the relationship finds its true level. Some connections were only sustained by your overinvestment. When you stop overinvesting, they dissolve. And in the space they leave behind, something better has room to grow. The sixth law: emotional sovereignty, the state nobody can take from you. There is a belief running in the background of most people's minds that they have never examined. It sounds like this: what other people think of me tells me something true about my worth. It feels like a fact. It doesn't feel like a belief. It operates automatically, below the level of conscious thought. And as long as it runs, anyone with an opinion about you has leverage over you. The critic wounds you. The disapproving look destabilizes you. The hostile message derails your afternoon. Not because these people have power, but because you handed them power through a belief you never chose to examine. Emotional sovereignty begins with a single question: is this actually true? Does this person's opinion actually determine my value? Does this comment actually tell me something real about who I am? Does this moment actually require my full emotional response? Not dismissively, honestly, with genuine curiosity. Because when you examine the belief clearly enough, the answer is almost always the same. No, this person does not know you. Their assessment is filtered through their own wounds, their own fears, their own incomplete picture of reality. Their opinion about you is, at best, a data point, and a highly imperfect one. And when you feel that, not as a performance of confidence, but as something you actually understand, the charge begins to dissolve. Not immediately, not perfectly, but progressively, with each honest examination, the grip loosens. You can still be challenged without being destroyed, criticized without being shaken, ignored without being undone. Not because you feel nothing, but because what you feel is no longer contingent on what they do. Your internal state becomes something you determine, not circumstances, not other people's moods, not whether someone responded to your message or looked at you a certain way or said something behind your back. You. That is not coldness. That is the definition of freedom. And from that freedom, everything else becomes possible. The seventh law. The most powerful move available to you right now might be no move at all. We are trained from childhood to believe that action is always better than inaction, that doing something is strength, that staying still is weakness, that not responding means you've accepted the loss. This belief is a trap, and the people who want to control you know how to use it. Every provocation is a test of that belief. Every bait is built on the assumption that you think you need to respond, that your ego will demand it, that your image will require it, that the alternative feels too much like surrender. And if you take the bait, you've confirmed that they understand you better than you understand yourself. The untouchable person has learned something different. Some battles exist only to drain you. Some provocations are traps that have no winning move except not playing. Some people will collapse under the weight of their own chaos. Given enough time and enough distance from your interference, you don't need to win every fight. You need to be selective about which fights are worth winning. The person spreading rumors about you, you can spend weeks trying to correct the narrative, defending yourself to anyone who will listen, exhausting your energy on a story that will keep changing anyway. Or you can live with such obvious integrity that the story corrects itself. One approach costs everything, the other costs nothing. The person trying to compete with you, you can adjust your strategy every time they make a move. Acknowledge the competition, let their presence shape your decisions. Or you can stay completely focused on your own direction and build such distance that the competition becomes irrelevant. One approach makes them your reference point. The other removes them from the equation entirely. Calculated inaction is not laziness. It is the highest form of strategic intelligence. It is the discipline to ask, before every response, every engagement, every expenditure of energy, does this actually move me toward what I'm building? Or does it just feel urgent because someone made it feel that way? The answer determines everything. While the reactive person is burning their finite resources on battles that don't compound, you are building, quietly, without announcement, without the noise of proving yourself to people who were never going to be convinced anyway. And one day, not dramatically, not with fanfare, the gap becomes undeniable. Not because you fought harder, because you were more selective. Not because you were louder, because you understood when silence was the sharper move. Not because you were colder, because you protected your energy for the things and the people that actually deserved it. That is what untouchable actually means. Not that nothing can reach you, but that almost nothing is worth reaching for. 7 laws. 1 shift. Stop leaking power. Start deciding what earns it. Your attention is finite. Spend it like it is. Your silence is powerful. Use it like it is. Your presence is valuable. Protect it like it is. Your emotions are yours. Govern them like they are. Your energy is limited. Invest it like it is. And your inaction, when it's chosen and not forced, is the move that nobody sees coming. If something in this video shifted the way you see yourself, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Mind Vault Theory. We go deeper every week. Drop a comment. Tell me which of these 7 laws you needed most today. The vault stays open.